Hello everybody and welcome back to another ASMR video. Today I have a fog machine that I'm going to talk about and kind of show off a little bit. It's from a company, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce the name. It's either Colbor or Colbor. Probably only really two ways to announce it. It's kind of a interesting name. But this company sent me this for my other photography channel. And sometimes I've liked to do like a ASMR video on the things just because it's kind of nice content. And it also gives me kind of a practice round, like maybe figuring out what to say, kind of things I want to talk about for the quote-unquote real video. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. But this comes in this nice padded case. And there is a mesh pocket at the top. My focus might be hunting for it because it's kind of hard for the camera to see, possibly. But this case can hold a few little odds and ends. I'm going to pull them out just to the side real fast. Then I can talk about them. This one's very creaky. I've kind of played around with this. So I might try some creaky sounds. We'll see if it's not too loud. So there's a few things you get in the package here in the top pocket. You get a booklet. Let's see if I can pull this out. This is kind of a little user manual. It's not really a flippy book, but there are a couple of pages to it for a little bit of page flippiness. So this has all the instructions, actually quite nice instructions for a item like this. Sometimes I'll just kind of include like just a small little paragraph or two, but there's like 4 pages because there's a handful of languages. This one's a very nice user manual. And there's another paper in here that has kind of some warranty information. I can kind of throw these back in here. Alright, I'm going to move these kind of out of the way, and then I'm going to slide the whole case up and kind of show you what comes into it. So you have the fog machine itself. Has the controls on one side and then the company name on the other side. I'll move this to the side real fast. You get this other sort of, it's kind of creaky sounds. You get this sort of other like fan attachment, and this thing is kind of cool. I'll show you about that a little bit. There are a handful of drips from the fog. I've already kind of used this a little bit, playing around with it. You get fog with the kit. I don't know if I'll handle this too much because there's kind of some drips around it and the fog is kind of sticky. And then you get this sort of film case that inside here is the kind of holder heating element that holds the fog and it dispenses the fog. And that came in here, and I'm thinking maybe for traveling or long storage you put it back in here, because it does have like a, actually maybe I can show you. If I pull this thing off the top, it does have a reservoir part here where you pop this off, kind of like an old squirt gun if you're from the 90s, and you fill the fog fluid in here. But it's fairly leak-proof, I would assume, or I've encountered at least, because I've been carrying this around for a few weeks, and it hasn't leaked too much. You can see there is a few bits of droplets on here, but I'm not 100% sure if that's from the case or if it's just from my use. So it's fairly leak-proof, but it did arrive in this film canister looking thing, and I would assume you could put it in there where you'd want to if you're going to maybe travel or go anywhere that maybe the case will be jostling around a bit, or you just kind of want to make sure that if it leaks, it's not going to go all over. You just have it in there. So for the fog machine, actually let me show you a little bit about the case. The case is kind of nice. It has these little compartments. This like kind of molded rubbery foam stuff. One kind of cool thing about this is you can fully remove the foam if you would like, and then you could use this case for an entirely different purpose, which I really like, because sometimes on things like these I will put the item itself in maybe a other case, like let's say my camera case, if I'm doing a shoot, or like let's say I use this a lot and I want to always have it with me, I will take the items out of this case and put them in a more, I want to say permanent home, in like another pelican case that has all my stuff. And then this case kind of sits empty. And so I love that you can pull this thing out and repurpose the case. I have a few other cases where they're a really nice case and I love to repurpose them, but the plastic is like molded into the bottom of the case. So I'd have to maybe just cut it out myself, and I'm not sure how much that'll ruin the structural integrity of the case or how useful or whatnot it would be after I do that. So I kind of wish those cases had the removable foam like this one does. So, and then you can fold this and zip it up. I think it's on this side. So now I'm going to move this case out of the way a little bit. You might be able to see a little bit of dust and debris on my table. Try and maybe scoot it aside and dust it off a little bit. Alright, so you have the actual fog machine itself, and this fog machine has a little button that you can actually then push down. I think it's this way, and you can rotate it. And then you can have it set up on like a table, like so, and then have it dispense fog at a 90-degree angle. I'll place this thing back on real fast. This thing has magnets on the little interchangeable heads, which is kind of nice. So you can rotate this to like an almost 90-degree angle, which is kind of cool. And then if you want, you can turn it back to the straight handle. So you have a couple buttons on the front or the side here. And this one here is the power button that turns it on. This one only dispenses fog. There's some up and down value buttons. And the power button also acts as a return button. So if I want to turn this on here, I can turn it on. And you'll see there's a couple of bars, and these indicate the fan speed of, I guess there's an internal fan, because side note is this thing also has a fan, so when you use this, I guess you get 2 fan speeds. So on this one there's kind of an internal fan that will push the fog up and out through the hole here, and you can adjust that fan speed via this bar here, and you push this thing here to select it, and then you can go down to here or up. So I think there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 or maybe 5 total levels because of this one, plus the 4. So you have those adjustments here. And then you can push this button again. I'm going to cycle through that for just a second and show you there's the fog density. So this is how much, I guess, juice it'll use in a sense. So you have a few levels all the way full, or you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of fog, as well as your 5 levels of fan. So this one will use less fog juice, and this one will use more fog juice. So and then I cycle to this one here. If you hit enter on that, I think you go up here. There you go. And then you come to this interesting menu where you can have this thing push out fog at a predetermined set. So let's say you want to use this for a Halloween function, and you want the fog to come out every 5 seconds, and then have it kind of release fog for 5 seconds, and then you want it to do it only 3 times. You can set it that way. Or, turn that off. If you want it to every 10 seconds, well, let's go 15 seconds. You can then, hit enter. You can then have it release fog for 10 seconds. And then let's say we want to do this for 7 times. So we can set our parameters there, and then when we push the button, it'll automatically do this one rotation. So if we want to just set it and leave, we can. And I believe there might be, I'm going to hold this down. I thought there might have been an infinity. Hopefully you can see that well enough. Maybe the clicky sounds are good enough. This does have some really satisfying clicky sounds. I move it to the mic a little closer. So yeah, this has some very nice clicky sounds. So then when you're done, you can go to the arrow and then hit enter. I'll turn this off. Actually, I spoke before that the middle button acts as an enter key, but actually the plus button is more of an enter key than the rest. So you have your buttons on here. I wonder if I can spray a little bit real fast. Let me set it on like just kind of a low density and then a low fan speed. We'll spray some out. So you can kind of see it go. Hopefully the sound is not too annoying. So what you can do with this attachment here is there's a few of these items. And this is kind of creaky. I wonder if it's going to be too loud. Let's try it. I don't know if those are the greatest of ASMR sounds, but there's some, they really aren't that nice of sounds for me, so I probably won't do them too much. If you like them, let me know. I can do a whole video creaking this thing. But what this does is you can place this in here. I'll do another creak actually really fast just so I can bend this again. I assume that if I use this enough, the creakiness will go away. So what I'll do is kind of remove some of my cat hair first, and then I will place this in here, and then you can turn up the fog a little bit more. And then you can actually adjust this and point this at different things. So there was a photo shoot I did a few weeks ago. Well, it's probably a different time actually compared to when you're watching this. That's me being very literal. But so I did a photo shoot one time, and we were using this for like in a coffee cup to like point down in here and then put some fog down in here so that it looked like the coffee mug still had steam to it. And one of the cool things is, so I wonder if you can see it very well against my hand. So there's kind of a wispy smoke that this thing gives off. But then you have this thing here, which is kind of a little foam piece that's very, very porous. And if you place this over the nozzle, it kind of traps it and then lets it go kind of really thick. So then you have like this really thick kind of, I guess thick fog is really the only way to explain it. But that is the one attachment you can use. So this attachment is held on by magnets. Well, both of them are actually, but this one just has a couple of magnets, and then the whole, it's very, very simple. But this other attachment here It's very cool. It has a fan. It's kind of like a small computer fan, really. And then there is a mode button, which you change or use the mode button to change whether you want to turn the fan up or down, or if you push it again, there's a light on here, and that'll turn the light up or down. And then if you hold it, you can cycle through the colors of lights. And the cool thing about this one is it's got these little pins for power transfer. So you can have this thing, a fan in here, and not have to have a separate battery in this thing, and I really think that's a cool design. So I place this on here. I can then, you'll see the light turns on. I can then turn on the fan. And turn it all the way off. Hopefully that's not too annoying. These sounds are kind of high-pitched. I also do have a fan from my recorder on the side, so hopefully that's not doing too much of a bother. But so I can turn it on to the red, and it'll be on the fan setting. Or I can turn it to the green, and that'll be on the light setting. So I can turn that up or down. It's kind of a weak light. I like that they included it, but it's not overly useful. It's kind of more of a cute novelty thing. But I suppose if you're having a party and wanted the fog to come out and look all colorful, that's kind of nice. I mean, maybe when I use this a little more, I might find a use for it and actually love the light. But it's only been about 3 or 4 weeks since I've had this and played around with it. So I'll go back here. Oh, let me show you really fast. You can hold down the, I believe, actually it's the 2 up and down buttons, I think. And that should change my color. I don't know if it's easy to see or not on the monitor, but you kind of have to hold it down until it gets to the color you want and quickly release the buttons. It's kind of the only way to dial in your color. So I will turn it back to the fog and turn the fan on just a little bit. Actually, let me go to this one because it seems, we'll go to the highest one, it seems a little squealy. And then you can do the button on that. That one's a little more annoying. I don't know if that's overly relaxing. I'll try and turn it down or make it sound a little better in editing if I don't cut it out completely. But that is the fan head, I guess we're calling it. And I've used this thing on a couple of shoots, and this works really good. The fan head would be more for if you're trying to film more of a larger space. You just want to kind of pump out a whole bunch of fog. This probably wouldn't fill a room, but if you had a tablescape or kind of a larger of small areas, you could use this thing to fill the largest quantity. I guess what I'm trying to say is you'd probably have to judge the space after use and to know what quantity you can fill up with this. So that's what this head would be used for. And then the other head would be used for kind of smaller little precise kind of fog areas. So, and then to turn the unit off, you just kind of hold down the power button and it turns off. And there's a USB-C to charge it. And there's also a 1/4-20 kind of standard thread mount on the bottom. So if you wanted to mount this to something or overhead or sideways, you have that option, and I think that is really cool. So that is the Colbor fog machine. I'm not sure what model number it is. I guess it's the CF5. And this is a really cool little fog machine. And if you're in the photography world or the kind of the creative world, it's kind of a cool thing to have. So I hope you enjoyed this little video talking about this, and I hope you have a wonderful day.